In this section, we're going to look at solving multiple step equations. In a previous section, we learned at solving one-step equations. So we're going to continue that discussion and look at some other types of equations that take more than one step to solve. In 1.2, we used tape diagrams to start understanding equations. So we're going to look at tape diagrams again here in activity 1. And we have two tape diagrams here that show the relationship between variables. So this first tape diagram, we've got the variables a, b, and c. And in the second tape diagram, we have the variables x, y, and z. So I want you to look at these two tape diagrams and just write down a couple things. What do you notice about them? What do you wonder about them? So pause the video, write down a couple things here on number 1. All right, let's go to number 2. What are some possible values for a, b, and c in the first diagram, and how did you decide on those values? So let's see, what can we look at in this tape diagram? What relationships do we see? Well, I see this here. So I know that C is the sum of each of these blocks, each of these individual blocks, and each of these blocks is a plus b. So we could just start off by picking some possible values for a and b. Maybe I'm just making these up. Maybe I let a equal 6 and I let b equal 2. All right, so if a is 6 and b is 2, now I have to figure out what c would be. So if a is 6 and b is 2, then that means this first block is worth 8, and each of these blocks would be worth 8. So then c would be the sum of those blocks, or 4 times 8. 4 eighths. So c would be 32. So this is one possibility for the values of a, b, and c in the first tape diagram. I would like you to come up with another set of values here for a, b, and c. And then I want you to do the same thing for number 3 using the second tape diagram, finding possible values for x, y, and z. Write down 2 possibilities, okay? So at least 2 here. What's one possibility for some values? What's another possibility for some values? And think about how you decided on what those values would be. Pause the video, get that done, and restart it when you're ready to move on. All right, let's look at activity 2 now. We have another tape diagram, but we have a story that go with it. So in this activity, we're going to be looking at 3 stories, and it has a diagram that represents each story. Now, you don't have a group, but we're going to kind of look at this together. We want to explain why the diagram represents the story. And then we're going to work together to find any unknown values in the story. In other words, the value of the variables. State the value of the unknown amount and what it represents, and explain how you arrived at the unknown value. Question number 1. Mia's family, or is it Maya? Maybe it's with that A first, I'm not sure. Person's family spent $50 on dinner. She purchased a coffee for $5, a steak dinner for $18, and 3 hamburger meals for the kids. So this tape diagram represents that situation. So first take a look at the tape diagram and really think about how it represents the situation. Here's your $5, that was for the coffee. Here's the $18, that was for the steak. And then 3 hamburger meals for the kids. So I'll just abbreviate that HM. There's a hamburger meal, there's a hamburger meal, there's a hamburger meal. And all of that totaled up to be $50. Okay, so now what we're supposed to do is work together to figure out what these X values might be. In other words, how much would a hamburger meal cost? So I'm going to guess that some students would say, well, if I want to figure out the hamburger meal, I should take off the cost of the coffee, and then take off the cost of the steak, and then that would leave, how much would that leave? $27. So $27 would represent the cost of the 3 hamburger meals here, 27. So I would just have to divide that by 3 to figure out how much each hamburger meal cost, and that would be $9. So maybe something like that would. Now, usually when we see the word explain, that means we want to include a few words. So we could say here that we want to subtract the cost of the coffee and steak. Sorry, it's getting a little sloppy. Let's move this over here. Coffee and steak from the total. So we did that, and then we could say what remains is the value of the 3 meals, or the cost of the 3 meals. What remains is the cost of 3 hamburger meals. So divide by 3 to get the cost of 1 hamburger meal. All right, and then say 27 divided by 3 is 9. That's a good explanation. A good mathematical explanation includes words and numbers. All right, let's look at number 2. So now we are going to spend $30 on 5 chicken strip meals for the kids. The price of a chicken strip meal increased $2 since her last visit to the restaurant. So one thing we want to think about here that we didn't necessarily write down last time is, what does the variable represent here? It says that the price of a chicken strip meal increased by $2. That's what this is right here, right? That's that plus $2. So the y value is the price of the chicken strip meal before the increase. So this is the cost of chicken strip meal. We don't just want to leave it at that, because there's really 2 costs going on here. There's the cost before and the cost after the increase. So this is before the increase. That's what the y value represents here. So it increased by $2, and then she bought 5 of them for a grand total of $30. So I'm not going to do this in this video, but I would like you to show your work here and describe how you're problem solving and figuring out the value of y. All right, so determine the value of y. You don't have to use algebra. All right, if you know algebra and you want to use it, great, but you don't have to do this. You can sort of use your common sense and figure it out based on this tape diagram. If you need a little hint, maybe try to figure out, you know, what would the value of one of these blocks be. Okay, same idea for number 3, except this time instead of increasing, we're going to be decreasing. Mia purchased 5 pizzas. She used a coupon for $2 off each pizza and spent a total of $40. So what is this value? What does it represent? The coupon for $2 off is demonstrated here. So W is going to be the cost of pizza without a coupon, or the regular price of pizza is another way you could say it. So that's what we're figuring out. Figure out what is the cost based on this diagram here. And I would like you to go ahead and complete this. I want you to determine W and talk a little bit about how you did it. And you could always go back and check it and see if it works, right? Plug in your value for W, see what the cost of the pizza is after the coupon. If you buy 5 of those, does it total up to be $40? This is something you should be able to check and determine whether you have the right answer. All right, in the next couple problems, we're asked to draw our own tape diagram to represent the story and then work together to find the unknown values. So let's read number 4. Noah worked 3 days last week and made the same amount each day. He also sold a bike last week for $50 and a video game console for $125. In total, he made $415 last week. So don't worry about figuring out anything right now. Just draw the tape diagram. Think about what your variable is, what it is you don't know, what are you going to have to assign a variable to, and draw the tape diagram. Restart the video when you have your tape diagram. All right, let's take a look and see how you did. So I have a general tape diagram set up here. And basically this problem is about Noah working and earning different amounts of money, and the total amount he made is $415. So that's got to go here. That's the total amount made, $415. So now there was a lot of things that went into making that $415. We've got the fact that he worked 3 days last week and he made the same amount each day, but we don't know how much. So I'm going to put in my 3 days of work here. Noah's 3 days of work. There's 3 days of work. I don't know how much he made each day, so I'm going to call that X. Those are his 3 days of work. He also sold a bike for $50. Now, how big we make these squares, we don't really know. It doesn't really matter. I did want to make all my X dividing lines the same since I know those are equal amounts. And then a video game console for $125. So this looks like a good tape diagram here for this problem. So we're supposed to state the value of the unknown amount and what it represents. So what we don't know here is how much he made at work last week. So X equals money made in 1 day, in 1 day at work. All right, so how might we figure that out? Well, we know he made $415 total, so the first thing we should probably do is subtract the $50 and the $125 from the total. And that will tell us how much he made in 3 days. Let's say, which gives the amount made at work in 3 days. Trying to model good behavior here. Writing out our complete sentences and explanations, which is part of math literacy. So now we'll do that. We'll take the $415, we'll subtract off $50, subtract off $125, and what does that leave? Looks like $240. So I could actually put that in my tape diagram here if I wanted to. That amount is $240. I'm running out of space here, but the next thing I would want to say is, so divide by 3 to find the amount he made in 1 day. And I'm not going to try to squish this in here because it's not going to be pretty. But if we divide by 3, we'll find the amount he made at work in 1 day. All right, let's try another one of these. This is good practice, and the diagrams really help us visualize how to find the answers. Noah's family brought some fruit bars to put in gift bags. They bought 1 box of each of 4 flavors: apple, strawberry, blueberry, and peach. The boxes all had the same number of bars. Noah wanted to taste the flavors and ate 1 bar from each box. After he did that, there were 28 bars left for the gift bags. All right, draw that diagram. Pause the video and draw your diagram. It's always a good idea to read through these problems more than once, especially if you're not sure. So I'm going to read through this again. Let's see. Noah bought some fruit bars to put in the gift bags and 1 box of each of 4 flavors. So there's 4 boxes. The boxes all had the same number of bars. It doesn't tell us how many, so that could be my variable. Noah wanted to taste the flavors. He ate 1 bar from each box, so that's subtracting 1. Ate 1 bar from each box, and there were 28 bars left for the gift bag. So I'm thinking the 28 bars left, that's the total amount we have left. So I'm going to put that here for my 28. Now we've got 4 boxes, so I'm going to split this into 4 equal parts. And we don't know how many fruit bars were in each box, so let's call that X. But then what happened, right? Noah ate 1. Noah ate 1 bar from each box. And then the total amount left to put in the gift bags was 28. All right, so now how are we going to figure out how many bars were in the original box, which is X? X is the number of bars in the original box. I'm just using the word original here to signify like before he ate it. Before he ate 1 out of the original box. All right. So if we take our 28 bars and we divide by 4, that will tell us, or that will give the bars in one box. So 28 divided by 4 equals 7. So that's got to be this number right here. That's 7. 28 divided by 4. So now how are we going to figure out what x is? Well, if there were 7 bars in the box before Noah ate one, then how many were in the box before would be 8, right? So if we add the bar Noah ate to 7, that gives 8. So there must have been 8 bars in the original box. X equals 8 bars in the original box. And we could kind of double check this by thinking about, let's say Noah shows up with those 4 boxes and there's 8 bars in each box. Right, so that would have been, well, let's add those up if we think about this a little differently. If we add those up, Noah showed up with 32 bars, and then he ate 1 from each box. So that would give us the 28 bars. That's another way to kind of check it and think about it. Sometimes students struggle with taking a quote-unquote story problem and writing an equation from it. Visualizing what's happening and drawing a picture of what's happening is a powerful tool to help you to write equations to solve problems.